Pet owners always like to gush about how smart their pet is, but we all know not every animal can be a genius. So, owners of less than bright pets, what makes your pet so special? Notably, this cat is not blind. It will walk into walls, stumble, spin 360 degrees and do the cat I meant to do that pose and mew, then walk right into the wall again. He also hates cuddles, but is 100% non-violent, and will instead cycle through different sounding meows, I guess hoping one of them will get you to let him go, which is so adorable. Mew, meow, MRO, mra, mreen, naya, nioa, mran, myra. Never a repeated noise. It's great. I really want a video of the cuddle hater hating the cuddles you give him. If I have a fire in the backyard, my special dog likes to wag his tail in it. He didn't learn the first time his tail got singed, so now he has to stay inside. I once had a cat that burned a bunch of fur off her tail by hanging it over a burning candle. Only stupid thing she ever did. That I saw. Anyway. My new dog learned how to give paw in a few days. That's the end his accomplishments, however. He does however sniff out methane like a bloodhound. If anyone lets out a toot, he'll run over and sniff their backside. No toot is too silent for my fart sniffing dog. Farfound. My cat will just jump into the shower while it's going. She is just so excited and jumps right in and gets mad when she's wet. I know reptiles aren't typically known for their intelligence, but I still wanna talk about my leopard gecko. I got him a new food dish the other week that was built so that mealworms couldn't escape, and no matter how hard he tried he just couldn't figure it out. It's literally the same as his normal dish but deeper, but I guess he couldn't figure out the depth. I had to go back to using his old dish. I got him a new cave and it took him almost 3 weeks to figure out he could go into the hole on the front of it and hang out in there. Meanwhile he would crawl around his tank looking for his old cave. He assumes my fingers are worms and has tried to eat them several times. When he eats his mealworms, he misses a lot. He's a really bad hunter. Mealworms don't really move a whole lot, but they do wiggle and crawl a little. He will look right at them and not comprehend that they are food sometimes until I push them around with a fork, and then he will try and eat the fork. If nothing else, he is a very amusing pet. I had a leopard gecko in the 90s. He was also really dumb. To this day I question how such an animal could survive in the wild. They are so derpy and helpless, like walking meat burgers. My mother-in-law had a really dumb dog. We had an exterminator out to our house to remove the wasp's nest. So for the days following, I would find 5,100 dead and dying wasps in my house when I got home from work. So I would take the vacuum and suck them all up. One day I suck up the wasps, and then ate 10 Cheerios that my infant son had dropped on the floor. So my vacuum now contains at least 500 dying and dead wasps, and under 10 Cheerios. My mill dog Peaches ate through the vacuum bag, which was made out of the same material as seat belts, ate through the paper bag inside, and ate through hundreds of wasps to get to those 10 Cheerios. You can't imagine that was worth it. Very spicy Cheerios. My dog liked to jump on the bed and roll over on his back for a belly rub. He tends to favor the edge of the bed and has rolled completely off numerous times, but never learns. This morning he did the same trick at the top of the stairs and managed 2 complete barrel rolls before righting himself. My heart was in my mouth. He was fine. My cat will dig a hole, squat and paw pee where he is standing, so outside of the hole, then turn around and try to figure out how to cover his mess and won't understand why it's so difficult. My cat uses the litter box and then instead of covering his business he paws at the walls surround the litter box, so none of it gets covered at all. My GFS cat is bow-legged and thinks it is the king of the jungle, yet simple tasks for a cat, like balancing on the headboard of our bed or walking on my lap, ends with slipping and falling. Honestly, this cat trips, falls, and wipes out a minimum of 10x. That I notice every day. On top of this, he has an obsession with freaking blankets. You'll hear a feral sound in the next room and walk into him standing awkwardly over a blanket while he slowly releases his bite on it, casually acting like nothing was happening. I'm convinced he thinks he's outsmarted us when it comes to his continual taking advantage of innocent blankets and assumes he's the stealthiest cat this world has seen. For these reasons alone I love him, not for his third favorite pastime of crapping on top of the litter box. Oh no, there's a storm. Owner, let me escape this house. I'll be safe outside. Let her go outside. 30 seconds later. Owner, open the door. Quick. I let her in. 5 minutes later. The storm is still going. Maybe it's safe outside now? Very cute though. A cat thinking things must have improved. An optimist. My cat fights her own tail daily, including hissing, pouncing, and general cat screaming. She also gets pee at it and saunters off like it somehow isn't still attached to her. My dog would startle herself awake by her own farts and then growl at them. Sometimes she would whimper. She also would cry every time she saw herself in the mirror. My other cat is actually fairly intelligent, except that she was a terrible huntress. She would get pecked in the head by birds and just sit there, letting them bully her. My cat literally did this 20 minutes ago, screaming, biting, pulling out fur, then nothing. I just sighed and got the Swiffer to clean up the new hairballs. My cat Zuko. I got him less than a year ago when he was a tiny kitten, and literally the first thing he did was run into the glass door. Okay, free pass. Kitten never saw glass before. He still does it. He sees something moving, i.e., his reflection, and pounces directly into it. Also when he gets hyper he'll run at full speed on hardwood, only to be unable to stop and slide into walls. He's the most loving cat, sleeps next to me every night and always demands attention, but OMG he's so dumb. My sister's dog ran into the glass door every morning. For 10 years, if you put a towel over his head he would lay down and go to sleep. He was an idiot. Never met a stupider animal. My cat won't eat her food if the bottom of the bowl is visible. When I see her sitting in front of her dish just staring at it, I'll move the kibble around a bit so that there's no gap and suddenly it's acceptable to eat. This actually may be because the bowl is too small by kitty standards. Some cats hate things touching their whiskers when they eat, so the food on the edge of the bowl is whisker sensory overload and they don't want to eat it. I have an axolotl called Taco who is so dumb he struggles to eat. He knows that the spoon equals food, but he attacks the spoon rather than eat the food I'm dropping in. He's such a good little flesh potato. Abraca frick you. My dog Norman has one solution to every problem. Lick it. Want attention. Lick a person. Feeling sleepy. Lick your bed. Want to get out through a closed door. Cry a little. Then lick it. No matter what puzzle life presents him with, he licks it. AWW. Someone can't hold their liquor. My beloved black kitty Boo passed a few years ago. She was so sweet and peaceful and loving. The most non-confrontational animal I've ever known. If another cat smacked her, she'd cry and run away. Never stood up for herself. But if you were ever feeling sad and alone, she'd be right there with a head bump and a MRRR. While I loved her dearly, she had one recurring behavior that always made me shake my head. Every Christmas, my wife insists we get a live tree. I'm not a huge fan of this because of the mess and the upkeep and worrying about disposal. Regardless, every year a live pine is set up in the living room. Boo loved the Christmas trees. She would nap on the skirt under them, drink the water that was in the base, and eat the needles. The problem was that the needles would upset her tummy and she'd throw up, and yet she would not stop eating the pine needles. Over and over again. She had no pattern recognition. She would barf up a pile of needles, go get a drink of tree water, and eat some more needles. For over 10 years we continued this cycle. Each Christmas and every December I'd spend half my time cleaning up little needle bombs of kitty bath. In all other regards she was a sweet, adoring cat, but the yearly pine needle barfing buffet party made me doubt her intelligence. Unfortunately, before she passed she taught a kitten this behavior. He's not much brighter than she was, as every Christmas he also eats the pine needles until he pukes. But after he does it once, he won't do it again until next Christmas. Who knows, maybe it's his homage to his old friend. That might be the sweetest bath-based story I've ever read. My dog will beg for food from the table and then fail to notice that you've dropped a treat for her. This is the same dog who will come running across the house because she hears smells of yogurt being opened. God, my mom told me that in the middle of the night, she wanted to eat something. She looked around the main floor and saw that no one was awake, and with her, She goes into the kitchen to grab a popsicle to eat, only to turn around and see my dog patiently waiting right beside her, staring at her like she hasn't eaten for 2 weeks. I have a cat that will scratch at the door to go outside, and will immediately run to his favorite patch of concrete and lick it like he's trying to sharpen his tongue prison style. We keep bees, and have a less than intelligent dog named Banjo. Now, he is at least sentient enough not to mess with the hive, but unfortunately, the hive is set in a spot where our new guests often think is a good place to park. So a friend pulls up and parks. Banjo runs up to the fence to excitedly bark and greet them, and he inevitably gets stung in the face. He retreats just long enough to get the bee off of his face, then runs right back to bounce around and immediately get stung again. This happens until our guests move away from that area, or we can call Banjo away from the hive, because I'm sure as crap not about to go drag him out of a cloud of pee off bees. We'd move the hive, but it really is the best location for them. I'm not sure why our guests all naturally decide to park right in front of the beehive. More than anything in the world, our cat wants to be able to sit on the 2-inch wide window frame. Every once in a while he tries so hard to jump up there, but it would be physically impossible for him to sit on it with the top window pane flush up against it. You'd think he'd stop trying to do the impossible, but no. Well, someone has to believe in him, since clearly you don't. I have a large lab retriever mix and he's afraid of his own shadow, but the best is strollers. Think those cheap toddler strollers you can get for $10. Absolutely terrified, especially if mommy is pushing it around the house. It's hilarious. I have a wooden replica sword that my one cat is terrified of. Any other piece of wood, whatever, but that one sword, if you even so much as pick it up he bolts like the hounds of heck are on his trail. I want to disclaim this by saying that my cat can be smart. I answered and asked about the smartest things he did, but a hunter he is not. He is really stupid when it comes to that. Cats are known to be quiet, right? Mine can be, too, unless he is trying to catch a bug, or a mouse or anything. Then he managed to step on every single thing that will make noise, and then will give his loudest meows he can, at least 5 seconds before he tries to pounce on the thing that ran away a long time ago. Mine would triumphantly bring home leaves. His natural prey was the newspaper. He would often manage to kick himself in the face, and frequently bit his own tail and then wondered why it hurt. He was not the brightest cat. I don't know if this makes my dog stupid, but here it goes. I had to go out of town overnight last week for work, and asked my neighbor to watch my dog. My neighbor might be one of my dog's favorites people, so I figured there wouldn't be any problems. I called my neighbor the next day to let him know I was on my way home, and to give him an ETA. A couple minutes later I get a text saying, "Call me, I'm crapping bricks," thinking she got out and ran away or something. It ended up being the opposite. He couldn't get her off the sofa. She would roll over on her back for belly rubs and wag her tail, but she would not get off the sofa to go out. He told me the only reason he knew that she moved was that she was on opposite ends of the sofa each time he came back. So, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but I was still kind of worried. I get home and she's still laying on the sofa, but then headed upstairs and emptied her food and water. Then she immediately ran to the gate to go see my neighbor. My cat named Slants. His name is such because when we found him as a kitty one side of his whiskers were burned off to almost no length. Because of this he walked sideways and his head was always titled at a 45-degree angle. He is the most friendly and downright passive animal I've ever met. We all thought his whiskers were due to abuse, until he jumped right onto the grill while my uncle was grilling steaks and burned the other side right off. At that moment we knew he was special. Other things he has done have included laying down on a table with half his body hanging off and eventually falling off, not landing on his feet, also repeatedly not making a simple 3-foot vertical jump and falling on his head. He likes to meow repeatedly for no reason, and just a few weeks ago I found him almost dead behind a water heater. There was nothing back there and hardly any room for him to fit. Luckily he made a full recovery to whatever full is for him. My favorite animal ever, but he is definitely not all there. My cat refuses to eat food out of a bowl. You can put down fish in a bowl and he won't eat it. He'll just sit there and whine. Put it on a plate and he'll gobble it up. No bowls. My cat does not understand that he can jump vertically if I'm playing with a toy. As soon as it gets higher than he can reach with his paws, he loses interest or just looks at it like a dummy. He never tries to jump. It's like he just doesn't realize that's a way to get at things that are higher. When climbing on furniture or the counter, he only ever jumps horizontally too. Like he climbs up to the top of the couch and then uses that as his launch pad to the counter, TV stand, or his cat tree. My cat was convinced the framed mirror on a bathroom door was a portal to another dimension. Watched him carefully set up and then launch himself right into it. The portal was closed though, and he didn't get through. I nearly died laughing. Normally I do think he's a very clever boy, but that was just... The stupid fat little crap can't meow. Somehow in her training as a kitten, her mom just forgot to teach her how to meow. Now this wouldn't normally be an issue, unless you end up with a cat who loves cool dark places and constantly locks herself into cupboards, and then can't let us know she wants out. Once someone notices we haven't seen Fancy Pants in a while, we have to search every cupboard in the house, usually listening for tiny grunts of discomfort, because she's fat and hungry at that point. My cats haven't learned, even after months of daily conditioning, that my hand is, in fact, not a spider that they can capture and eat. My dog once fell in a hole. We went out walking and he wasn't paying attention to where he was walking. He wasn't injured. Being cat-howless, both of my dogs have tremendous prey drive. So intense it is. Those two derps hunt and eat all the bugs. Stung by a bee in mouth? Let's eat another. Love those two goofballs to death. My border collie Aiko is scared of water, but at the same time she also isn't too bright. While on holiday in Germany she was playing with my German shepherd by the lake when she spotted a couple of ducks sitting there. She started stalking them in the typical border collie way. Now she was so focused on those ducks that she did not notice they went into the water. So Aiko followed them into the lake. I thought she might notice when she got wet paws, but no. She went all the way in until she couldn't feel the floor anymore and then panicked like mad. We had to go after her and drag her out. Oh, hey, another crazy person with both a border collie and German shepherd. This definitely sounds like a border collie thing to do. They get so fixated on things that they basically lose their brains. And you know, the second she came to, she was probably like, oh my god, how did I get in here? Witchcraft. My Labradoodle loves to eat dirt from a flower pot we have in the house and refuses to stop no matter how many times we get onto him. Also, if you're gone for more than 30 minutes, the next time he sees you he'll get so excited he pees himself. My cat Lazy had a different name before, but Lazy is much suitable name. She is special, like Kevin Special. If you play staring contests with her, she would go cross-eyed and fall over. She doesn't know how to properly chase lasers. Her reaction time is so poor that she reacts long after the laser has passed through. It almost looked like she is running away from the laser. Poorly. Then after couple attempts, she just roll over, go cross-eyed, and lie there. Can't catch a toy on a stationary string. If she raised both front feet, she would fall sideways. She doesn't eat properly, just inhale and barf. So her food is strictly controlled. She can't poop properly. She thinks if her front legs are in the litter, she is clear to poop and look confused when finding her poop outside and then spend 5 minutes trying to cover it with invisible sand. She has yet learned how to lick herself properly. She does not have the gross motor skill to bring her paw up to her face to lick. She tries and it looks like drunk man trying to lick popsicle. She has zero self-defense skills or instinct. A 2-year girl of a friend dragged her through 3 large rooms by her ears to show her daddy the kitty. At the end, she just lied there on the ground looking at everyone confused. We attach her to a broom and push her around the hardwood floor and dust her off outside. No reaction. She has no idea how to socialize. If her brother come near her, she would slap him across the face and scream like she legs are getting sawn off when he pounced her. Even then, she would just lie there. Sometimes she may attempt to run away from things. Poorly. She would walk faster for like 5 feet and then give up. Her running never end well. She will run into something always. Like ramming full speed, which is a pretty slow jog, into a door. Her brother would try to teach her to hunt. Yes, cat can get frustrated and his frustration is hilariously palpable. She cannot even properly hunt a hairband on the ground. She would prepare to pounce it for like 5 minutes and then miss, sit on the hair losing it, give up and lie down. She is very fuzzy though, like a soft warm teddy bear that purrs. She is 13-year-old. My dog walks backwards when transitioning from the linoleum kitchen floor to the carpeted living room dining room floors. It's not just the entryways either, she'll walk backwards from one end of the room until she's reached the carpet. I've no idea why she does it, there's no bad memories with crossing the threshold as far as I know. It's just a thing she's always done. She has done it in every house apartment we've ever been in. I've had her since she was a pup and she's about to turn 14. She's an amazing snuggler and the most loving dog you'd ever want to meet. But she's dumber than a sack of rocks. Bless her. My dog is special. I will play fetch with him. He is really good at watching, tracking the ball and returning with it for another round. However, if he loses sight of where the ball landed, then he absolutely cannot find it because instead of looking down and searching, he sniffs up in the air for it. I have literally watched him trip over the ball, but he continues to believe sniffing in the air will help him find it. I love my dog. My green cheek conure Ferrer is definitely special. She shows she's happy by thumping her face on the ground. Not her beak. No, her face. She turns her head to the side so her beak is out of the way and slaps her face into the ground while cheeping to show she's happy. Luckily she's as sweet and loving as she is stupid, so she's still my little baby bird. My dog is getting pretty old, so she gets a bit of a pass on being dumb. My sister's dog, however, is real special. She tends to be scared of men, and when she met my so it took a fair bit of time and encouragement for her to become friendly with him. She was sitting next to him while he patted her when I left the room to get something. When I came back, she jumped up and started to bark at me, only to pause, look at him, and realize her mistake. She has always remembered him since then, and always grumbles a little at us both whenever we visit. That's a common problem with dogs, especially if they have a history of abuse. My German Shepherd didn't like men, especially if they were drunk. She was a victim of abuse by her previous owner. My cat doesn't know she has claws, or how to use them. She will dig them into the ground while walking and trip herself at least 5 times a day. She will also jump up on the cat tree and slowly slide off instead of using her claws to climb. My dachshund wears diapers. He's neutered. Since 5 months old, he's 6 now, but he marks everything. I'm a former vet tech, so not uneducated when it comes to training, but I've tried every trick I know and he's just stupid. He pees in his own water dish, so washable diapers it is. My dove makes everyone feel good about themselves because he is always doing a mating dance at people. He's not a smart bird. If you move, he wants to date. We had a pug that was so special that she would forget how to operate her back legs. She couldn't back out of a corner or tight spot, or walk backwards at all. She needed help getting upstairs. She'd walk her front legs up 2 stairs or so, and then look around confused. She couldn't figure out why her butt wouldn't follow up the stairs. That's not stupidity so much as just being so misshapen that her physiology is about as reliable as a Fiat. Pugs are an artificial mockery of natural selection. My dog is almost 5 and she'll walk past me with my boxers in her mouth like I'm not even there. It's just a slow walk right past me. What do you think you're doing? My dog is a fat dachshund. She's almost 11, and she still thinks she can jump onto platforms that are 5 feet off the ground. We never claimed she was smart, just cute. My dog got stuck under our bed yesterday because he's tall for a Westie and is pretty big boned. No idea how he got under it in the first place, and no amount of coaxing was able to get him out. I went, got a treat from the kitchen, and he manages to wriggle and leopard crawl his way out. I love watching my old man Westie crawl under my bed. He seems so happy to do it. I adopted this weird little Chiweenie in April. Her name is Pippa and I love her to death. But she absolutely will not walk through doorways. She'll walk outside on a leash, down hallways, through entryways, but not doorways. Also she yells at me when I come home like I had left her for all eternity and not the 5 minutes it took me to go check the mail. I think my other, older dog thinks Pippa is a dumb, but we love her anyway. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.